Hi everybody, this is Ellen. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make the Happy Rock Candy. I think it's super cute. I don't know if you've ever actually made rock candy, or homemade anyways, but it takes a long time, like a week to actually make it, so it's kind of, but it's cute and fun. But this is my version, and band-wise, I used 185 green, and then I used clear bands for my wrapped bands on the inside, and there were 44 of those, but you could just use all the same color if you don't have the clear for the wrapped bands and stuff. It's just kind of your preference. So if you wanted to do all the same color, you'd need 229 of, like, say, the green in total. Then you'll need the eyes, which would be either 2 wrapped bands, or I use 7mm pony beads, and then 2 bands for the cheeks, and then the band for the mouth. And then the stick here for the bottom is 25 bands in total. So we'll get started. You do have to make wrap bands ahead of time, and if you have a latch hook, they are most helpful. I found them at Joann's, Michael's. It's a couple of Michael's they have them, but it seems like I can't find them in all of them. Walmart has them. Otherwise just search rug latch hook on, like, Amazon, and you should be able to find one. They're fairly cheap, usually under $5. Or you can use the rainbow loom hook as well. They both work as fine, but this one just makes things a little bit easier. And for the wrapped bands, you will need 44 of them. So how we make those is you want the color of your outside part here, which this one's green, and you want to take a band, put it on your hook, wrap it around one time, then grab both bands, wrap them around again, and then do that with another band. Same thing, on the hook, wrap it around once, grab both bands, wrap them around again, and then you'll pull through either one band the same color that you're using, or pull through one clear band through both of them. And you would want to make 44 of these. With the latch hook, you can just wrap a bunch of bands and then come back and pull the bands through, so it makes it a little bit easier. So 44 of those, and then your eyes are either the band or the beads. If you're going to use a bead, you want something that you can thread your bands through. I use a piece of craft wire, bent into a V shape, but you can use string, thread, floss, anything you can get through the center of your bead. Then you want 2 bands, the color like the green on here, 2 bands in the center, and take your bead and pull it through, or put your wire through the bead rather, and pull it down to the center. So then you have a beaded eye band. Or if you don't have beads, you can use a wrapped band the color of your eye, put it on the hook, wrap it around one time into the figure 8, grab both bands, wrap them around again, and then pull through 2 bands the color of your rock candy. So you'd want 2 eyes like that. The cheeks are made the same way as the eyes. On the hook, wrap around once, grab both bands, wrap them around again, and then pull through 2 bands the color of your cheek, or the color of your rock candy rather, sorry. So you want 2 cheeks and 2 eyes, however you want to make those. So you'll want to pause the video so you can make your wrapped bands, because we do use them right away. And then you'll come back, and we use one loom, wrong end facing towards me, or towards you, however you want to look. And we're just working on 6 pins, so kind of anywhere you want to start. And we're going to take, well, that one's no good now because it popped off. You're going to take your wrapped band, I'll take my hook, put it back through my clear band on both sides, and then I'm going to take these and put them on the pin around in the hexagon pattern on the 6 pins. Those on the hook, put them down. So they actually made rock candy once. It takes forever, and you're always checking it and kind of looking to see how it's progressing, and you're like, oh, it's just taking forever, and it's a fun activity, but definitely takes patience. It's kind of neat to see how the crystals form and stuff like that. So like that, I have the A-wrapped band doubled over on all the pins around the outside of a hexagon pattern or starburst pattern. Then you're going to want to take 2 bands. Everything kind of on the inside area is 2 bands. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a little starburst in the center. So 2 bands from the center out to the 6 pins around. Like that. And on the center pin, take 2 bands and wrap it around 3 times. And you'll take your hook, go in through that cap band we just put on, go through all the bands we wrapped, grab the top 2 bands wherever they are, pull them up through the center and back towards themselves. And you'll do that all the way around your starburst. Like that. Then what we want to do is take wrapped band, put it on your hook, and then we're going to just kind of stretch one of the wrap bands over the top one way and then one across the other way. So I'm going to pick up the top 2 bands on this corner up here, lift them up, slide down 1/2 of the wrap band. Then I'll put these bands back onto the pin. So I still have the wrap band on one end. Then we'll come across, grab the top 2 bands over on the other side, lift them up, pull the wrap band over, and then put the bands back on the pin. So now this is secured over the center. And we do the same thing, only across the top of it, going the other direction. Pick up the top 2 bands over here, slide your band down, back on the pin, and across to the other side. Top 2 bands, pull the other half of the wrap band through, and then back onto the pin. So it's just kind of wrapped around. So now what you want to do is all the way around, we have the wrap bands we put on first. You're just going to grab those and pull them up over the top of the pin so they're in the center of the starburst. So it looks like that. Push your bands down. So now we're going to do our first row. We're again going to put on our wrap band onto our hook like this. Grab 2 bands, pull them through, and then I kind of leave it on my hook. And I'm going to start my row around by placing those 2 bands across those pins. So it'll go around our starburst. And then again, wrap band on, pull your bands through, and just kind of stretch it out and go around the circle. And normally I probably would have had you do this ahead of time when we made the wrap bands, but they don't really stay on very well. So this is kind of the easier way to do it as we go. But of course it'll make a little more time. But according to what everybody had said on my Instagram page, they don't mind if I make the whole tutorial and show you the whole thing. People can just, they'll fast forward if they don't need to know something. I aim to please. So now we have the row all the way around with the wrapped bands wrapped around two bands that are laid around the circle. So now you're going to go around and you'll flip the bottom four bands over the top of the pin all the way around. And don't worry if these get kind of stuck inside or tucked underneath. You're going to end up having that. We'll just pull them out when we're done at the end. So we're going to do another row just like we just did. So again, putting the wrap band on our hook, pulling through the two bands, and then doing the row all the way around. And make sure you get both bands on. These are the glow-in-the-dark bands from Loom. So we did a row all the way around with the wrapped bands, and then again you'll flip the bottom four bands over the top of the pin, all the way around. It's kind of funny because these ones I picked up at Michael's with the $1 sale. It's like they throw out some different ones every once in a while just to kind of to get you back in the door. They're actually more purple in color than the ones I got from the web store a while ago. So it's a different shade. Yay! So now our next row is going to be our eye row. So you want your eye bands. Not that one. Eye beads. Stretch them out. I'm going to go right here in front. And then the rest of the four spaces is going to be the wrap bands with the two bands pulled through. You probably use your latch hook if you have one too to just load a bunch of them up like that and then go around. I think once you have the wrap bands done, it goes pretty fast, which is nice. So there's our eye row, eyes in the front, and then the four bands around the back, and then again the bottom four bands all the way around. With all the wrap bands, it gets kind of squishy in places, but push your bands down. Next is our cheek row. So you want your cheek bands, and they'll go right in front where the eyes were. And then again, the last 4 spaces will be the wrapped bands with the 2 bands pulled through. One more. So that's our cheek row. So again, flip the bottom 4 all the way around. And you can keep trying to pull up the center here, just make sure you don't pull too hard so that it pops off your pins. That would be no good. And you can see here that my little wrap bands are tucked inside. That's what I meant, so you don't have to worry about that. We'll pull them out when we're done. Next, you're going to want the mouth band. So you take your band, put on your hook, wrap it around 1 time into the figure 8, and then in the front here, turn my loom around, in the front here between the eyes and the cheeks, you're going to go onto this pin, pull the bands off, lift them up, slide down that band, and then put the bands back onto the pin. Make sure you get them all back on there. So it looks like that. Then we're going to do another row all the way around with the wrapped bands. Couple more. Like that, all the way around with the wrap bands, then flip the bottom 4 again. That. Push your bands down. And now we're going to reduce. We're going to reduce the center pins. So I can start up here, grab the top 2 bands, lift them up, make sure I have just the top 2 bands. They're coming from the left pin over here, so I'm going to pull them over to the right, and then the other 2 bands are going to go to the left. And then on the front, same thing. Pick up the top 2 bands, see where they're coming from. Mine are coming from the right, so they're going to cross over to the left. And then pick up the other 2 bands and bring them over to the right. Yours might be different if you didn't put them on the right way, but just see where they're coming from and take them to the opposite pin. Then you go around on all the pins and flip over the bottom 2 bands on all of them. Like that. So you have 4 bands left on the 4 pins. Push them down. Now we're going to do a row around with the wrapped bands again. My son has a camping trip with Scouts this weekend, and he was rather kind of out of the blue. He's like, I don't want to go. I'm like, well, why? I'm like, you always look forward to the camping trips, and he's like, well, because, I don't know, it's you know, we're just doing stuff with rockets, you know, it doesn't sound like fun. I'm like, well, I think that you'll enjoy rockets. It should be pretty interesting. You'll probably make them and then shoot them and you'll have a good time. He's like, well, I don't know who's going. I'm like, well, I told him, I was like, well, I know this person's going and so is this person and those are the ones that you hang out with, so you know, I think that you'll have a good time. He's just being very resistant to going, which was very unusual for him. So finally I was like, you know, well, what do you want to do this weekend? He's like, well, I want to go to the mall. I'm like, really, kiddo? It's like, so we have the wrapped bands all the way around on the 4 pins, flip the bottom 4. I was like, I don't think that's really a good reason to not go camping. I'm like, you've already committed anyways, and eventually he's like, well, when he originally said I want to go to the mall with someone, he's been wanting a pair of new tennis shoes for a while, and the only place where they have the brand he wants is at the mall, so I assumed he just wanted shoes. So we're going to do another row just like we just did with the wrap bands all the way around on the 4 pins. And I was like, you know, we can go, well, the other night and get your shoes. I'm like, we just haven't had time. It's been busy around here. And he's like, well, I said I wanted to go to the mall with someone. I mean for you to take me to get my shoes. I'm like, oh, I see where this is going. And I was like, well, who's this someone? He's like, someone? I'm like, kiddo, you are not going to leave this house by just saying that you're going to the mall with someone and not telling me what you're doing, where you're going, who you're with. I'm like, you're not quite old enough to make those decisions by yourself. Or to be running around freely without supervision, or be have the run of the place, I guess. And he's like, I guess I just don't want to go. I'm like, you just really don't want to tell me that badly who you want to go to the mall with. He's like, it's a girl, okay? And I'm like, okay. I'm like, is this a date? Or it's like, Mom. So once you get the 4 wrap bands around again, you'll flip the bottom 4 one more time. He's like, no, it's not a date. And I'm like, but is it a girl that you like? And he's like, well, yeah. I'm like, okay. Oh, it's starting. It's starting. Not ready for it. It's like I haven't really thought about that stuff yet too much, as far as all the rules and things. You have a general idea in your head, but I'm going to actually start thinking about it a little bit more. So once you have that row and all the 4 bands flipped over, we're going to reduce, and we're going to reduce the 2 corners, the top right and the lower left. So I'll start down here, grab the top two bands, see where they're coming from. They're coming from the top pin up here, so I'll bring them over to the right, and then the bottom ones, the ones that are left on there, will go up to the left. And we'll do the same thing over here. Find the top two bands. And sometimes they might get a little goofy. The top two bands are coming from the left, so they're going to come down to the right. And then the other two bands will go up to the left. So now you're going to have 8 bands on 2 pins, so we're going to flip over the bottom 4 on the 2 pins that are left. So I should have 4 bands on 2 pins. Go ahead and push those down. Then we're going to do another kind of row around, I guess. Kind of just around the sides with the wrapped bands. So one around the front and one around the back. Like so. And flip the bottom 4 again. Push your bands down. Alright, so now what you'll want to do is grab the color that you want to use for your stick. These are from the mixed pack of the Rainbow Loom skin tone bands. And what you want to do is take 8 bands and put them on your hook. Like that. Grab all of them and twist them around one time. So that makes the ball at the bottom of our stick. That's the way most of them are made, so try and stay true to the original. So like that. Now, we're going to take this guy, our rock candy guy, off the loom. So I'm going to take my hook, go on the bands on the one side, and then come around and grab the bands on the other side. So I have all those on the hook. First 2 bands, or 3 bands rather, that I pull through are going to be 3 from the color of your rock candy. So they're going to be 3, but you're going to double them, so it gets a little bit on the hook here as far as the amount of stuff. So 3 bands doubled, and I missed one. Like that. Pull those through just the rock candy. Back onto the hook, center it, and now what we're going to do is pull through the cat hair, all those kitties, pull through 3 bands, doubled times 5. So if you need to, you should be able to kind of push this up to give yourself a little more room, but I don't think it's too bad. So 3 bands, double them, and pull them through, back on the hook. So that's 1. Another 3 bands doubled. 2, 3, 4, And one more set of 3. So there's 5 of the stick bands pulled through. Then we still have our ball on the end. So what we're going to do is take 2 bands, and these are the last ones, 2 bands on the end of the hook, double them, pull them through everything, so through the stick and then through our ball, put it back onto the hook, make a slip knot, so I'm going to pull the ones by the hook through the ones that are down by the handle, pull those through, pull tight, and then to secure this, I'm going to get my fingers into the center here and push the ball portion back through so that it wraps around the bottom of the stick, right above the ball. And that secures it nice and helps keep the shape of the ball together. And you may have to go in with your hook, like mine's a little twisted here. Go in with your hook and adjust that. It's just because of the tension on one side is more than the other side when you're pulling them through. Just kind of straighten it out. And then we get the fun part of you need to go through and pull out all of your rock candy parts. This might take a minute. I'm not usually super gentle with them because rock candy is not uniform. So, happy rock candy. I think it's awesome. You can pull these, stretch these, kind of make them so that they don't line up even. Just kind of make it a little crazy. And it fits perfectly. So, I hope that you enjoy it. I think they turned out rather fabulous and adorable. I haven't used that word for a long time, so I think they're super cute. Pretty easy to make, I hope you agree. Definitely if you make these, you can share them with me on my Instagram, which is at Crafting Fantastic, or on my Facebook page, which is feelinspiffy. Then it, of course, would be awesome if you'd subscribe to my channel so you can see when I come out with new stuff. This last month has been kind of rough for our family with a couple of different things, but I'm hoping to get back into the swing of things and that there won't be any more bad things. So definitely appreciate those of you who are understanding and kind of waiting for me to come back around. But I hope you enjoy these. I definitely have more coming of different things. But thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will have more for you soon. Happy looming.